Before man ever set foot on earth, before time was measured in days and nights, God shaped the pillars of creation. And among his most imposing works, he raised from the depths of the earth a creature without equal. His name was Behemoth. Mentioned in the book of Job, chapter 40, the behemoth was not the product of legend or metaphor, but a real symbol of God's creative power. A gigantic beast, it inhabited the valleys and fed on grass like an ox, but whose strength could shake mountains. It was not a bloodthirsty predator. It did not devour other animals. On the contrary, its nature was tranquil. It grazed like flocks, but its body was a monument of strength. Its legs were columns, its vertebrae like cast iron bars. Its torso resembled a living fortress. As he walked, the earth trembled beneath his footsteps. Rivers diverted their course to give him passage. No spear pierced him. No hunter dared face him. He was, as God said to Job, the masterpiece among the ways of the Lord. His neck rose like a tower, and his mouth roared like distant thunder. His nostrils belched steam like chimneys, and his eyes glowed with an ancient fire, as if he held within them an ancient secret of creation. The behemoth inhabited the shadows of mountains and the banks of great rivers. He lay beneath the lotus flowers, and the trees covered him with their shade. He was like a living wall between man and mystery. But what did he represent? For many scholars, the behemoth is the symbol of the raw power of creation, the reflection of divine majesty in its most primal form, a reminder to humanity that, no matter how wise and powerful it becomes, God's creation remains indomitable. Some modern scholars have attempted to identify Behemoth with real animals, a hippopotamus, an elephant, even a surviving dinosaur from pre-flood times, but none of these creatures compares to the biblical description. Behemoth was not just an animal, it was a living monument, a unique entity created to demonstrate the Creator's greatness. Unlike Leviathan, its sea-dwelling sibling, Behemoth didn't sow terror. It inspired awe. While Leviathan represented the chaos of the waters, Behemoth was the silent guardian of the earth, the giant of the fields, the master of stability. And when God mentioned him to Job, it wasn't to frighten him, but to teach him. He was saying, in other words, look at Behemoth, see what I am capable of creating. Do you really think you can understand my ways? Today, the behemoth remains shrouded in mystery. Archaeologists haven't found it. Scientists can't explain it. But its legend echoes through the centuries, reminding us that there are things the eyes don't see, but the heart still feels. Perhaps it has disappeared. Perhaps it is hidden deep in unreachable forests. Or perhaps its mission has ended, and God has taken it home. But one thing is certain, the behemoth existed. And in every earthquake, in every rising mountain, in every majestic silence of nature, we feel his presence. Because he was not just a creature, he was the reflection of the Creator. The glory days of the giants had become distant memories. The wild lands where he once walked began to fill with men, cities, and pride. The fields were fenced, the rivers diverted, and the echoes of Eden became mere whispers. Yet still, Behemoth remained, silent, steadfast. Hidden in the shadows of forests no man dared to enter. He watched, not with fear, but with the patience of one shaped by eternity itself. It was on an evening of crimson skies, when the winds howled like trumpets, that Behemoth felt the call. From atop a hill he raised his neck toward the heavens. His eyes, glowing like burning coals, gazed at the firmament with something men would call longing. But it was not pain, it was deeper. It was as if the Creator had once again whispered to his heart. In the valley below, Job, covered in ashes, wounds, and doubt, also looked toward the sky. The two were near, separated by time, by silence, but united in purpose. Job was speaking with God. His words were not cries of rebellion. They were the pleas of one who no longer understands but still trusts. "Where are you, Lord?" he said, arms lifted, voice tearing through the wind. "Why have you done this to me? What does my suffering mean?" And there, beside him, still as a living mountain, Behemoth listened. He did not speak, he didn't need to. His very existence was an answer. Then God spoke. Not with thunder, but with authority. Not with fury, but with truth. Job, do you know the paths of lightning? Can you tame the stars? Can you, by your strength, raise a being like Behemoth? I created him. I gave him his power. And you, small man, question what you cannot see. The wind fell silent. Behemoth lowered his head in reverence, not to man, but to the voice still echoing among the clouds. He recognized the sound of his creator. And Job, seeing the creature beside him, so colossal, so serene, finally understood. It was not about answers. It was about trust. It was about realizing that there are forces greater than suffering, and that the God who made Behemoth, firm, silent, unshakable, was also the one who held man's life together. In the days that followed, Behemoth's presence vanished from the eyes of men. Some say he returned to the heart of the earth. Others believe he still walks beneath it, and that the trembling of earthquakes are his hidden steps. But those who saw him, even once, never forgot. Because Behemoth was not merely a creature of flesh, he was a reminder that even in the midst of pain, God is creating something far greater than we can understand. And if we listen closely, perhaps like Job, we too may hear the breath of the Creator behind every creature. He did not come to be remembered as a monster. He came to be understood as a sign, a reminder carved in flesh and blood that not everything can be measured, mastered, or explained. Some things can only be contemplated. And like Job, every man who stands before the true power of God realizes it is not fear that transforms, it is revelation. And Behemoth, in all its silent glory, was the living revelation of a creator who is at once strength and tenderness, who is invisible, yet leaves footprints on the earth. Perhaps Behemoth has vanished, like a breeze that blows and is gone. Or perhaps it still wanders the hidden forests of the world, where human eyes cannot reach. But its legend lives on, and whenever the ground trembles without reason, whenever the mountains seem to whisper ancient names, remember, it is there. Because Behemoth was not just part of creation. It was the mirror of the Creator. If this story touched your heart, if you felt the greatness of God in every word, then don't leave in silence. Here you'll find deep reflections, forgotten stories from the Bible, legendary creatures crafted by God Himself, and messages that awaken the soul. Subscribe to the channel right now. Turn on the notification bell because there are many more revelations to come. What you've seen so far is just the beginning. Be part of this spiritual journey. Together, we'll go deeper, higher, closer to the Creator.